Her twin
Gentlemen,
sister
this
sent her to
venture
a
is
blind
riskier
date
than
as
we
a cruel
planned.
joke.
The
But
potential
when
rewards
Theren
are worth the
Nightshade,
risk.
the
I
vampire
hope you're
king
right.
who'd ruled in shadows for 400
This
years,
is from the dinner.
saw through the
I
disguise,
see.
everything
Very
changed.
interesting. What does
In
it mean for
72
us?
hours, the
We
forgotten
must
twin
act
became the
swiftly.
woman who
Time is
brought a
against
corrupt
us.
empire to
I
its
agree,
knees.
but we need a plan.
This is how
A plan or
Serafina
we're lost.
Ashworth went from unseen to unstoppable. The smell of old paper and leather had become Serafina's religion. Monday morning, 8:15. The Blackwell Historical Society sat on the corner of Ashford and 12th, a granite building that everyone walked past and no one truly saw. Much like Serafina herself. She turned the key in the basement archive lock. The mechanism clicked, ancient and reliable. Down here, 3 floors below street level, the temperature stayed constant at 62 degrees. Perfect for preserving documents that had survived revolutions, wars, fires. Perfect for a woman who'd learned to survive by staying cold. Serafina hung her coat on the brass hook. The fabric was gray wool, practical. Purchased on sale 3 years ago, still serviceable. She smoothed the wrinkles from her navy cardigan, checked that her hair, dark brown, straight, cut to her shoulders, was secured properly in its low ponytail. Unseen, forgettable, safe. Her workspace occupied the far corner of the conservation room. A single desk lamp cast warm light over the document waiting for her. An 18th century journal, its pages brittle as butterfly wings, its text written in a cipher she'd been decoding for 6 weeks. She pulled on cotton gloves, picked up her magnifying glass. The world narrowed to ink strokes on parchment, to the puzzle of dead languages and forgotten codes. This she understood. This made sense. People did not. The journal belonged to a merchant who traveled between Boston and London in 1773. But the text wasn't about trade goods. It was about something else, something hidden. References to blood oaths, to creatures that walk between twilight and dawn, to a covenant older than America itself. Serafina's phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again and again, 7 times in rapid succession. She knew that pattern. Only one person texted with that kind of entitlement. Celestia, her twin sister, older by 2 minutes, a fact Celestia had leveraged for 28 years. The phone rang. The screen lit up with a photo Serafina had never chosen. Celestia at some gala, diamonds at her throat, smile sharp as glass. What? Serafina didn't inflect it as a question. Thank God, I've been trying to reach you for 20 minutes. Celestia's voice poured through the speaker, honey over steel. Are you in that horrible basement again? I'm working. Right. Your little books. Celestia made it sound like a child's hobby. Listen, I need a favor, a huge favor, actually more like saving my entire life. Serafina set down the magnifying glass, removed her gloves. She'd learned over the years that Celestia's emergencies required full attention, not because they were genuine crises, but because ignoring them made things worse. I'm listening. Okay, so, you know that exclusive dating app? The one for verified high net worth individuals? I matched with Sterling Blackwood 3 weeks ago. Total accident. I was drunk at Margot's birthday, swiping for fun. But anyway, he's been persistent. Wants to meet. Tonight. So meet him. I can't. Celestia's voice climbed an octave. Tonight is the Duke of Ashford's engagement party at the St. Regis. Do you know what kind of connections I'll make there? Sterling is venture capital. The Duke is old money. There's no comparison. Serafina waited. There was always more with Celestia. I need you to go instead. The words dropped like stones in still water. Excuse me? Go to dinner with Sterling, as me. He's never seen me in person, just my photos on the app. You're my identical twin. Put on makeup, wear the dress I'm bringing over, and he'll never know the difference. Serafina's grip tightened on the phone. No. Sarah, please, just one dinner. 2 hours maximum. The reservation is at the Crimson Room. You eat, you smile, you leave. He's pompous anyway. Talks about his portfolio constantly. You won't have to do anything but nod. Find someone else. There is no one else. You're the only person who looks exactly like me. Celestia's tone shifted, hardened. Besides, Father needs this. Blackwood Industries is considering a major real estate partnership with Ashworth Development. If I completely ghost Sterling, it could affect Father's deal. There it was, the leverage. Their father, Victor Ashworth, who'd built an empire from Boston to Manhattan, who'd raised Celestia as the heir apparent and Serafina as the spare. The disappointing one. The one who'd chosen books over business, solitude over society. I'm hanging up now. The Historical Society's funding comes up for renewal next month. Celestia's voice went silk soft, dangerous. Father sits on the board. He mentioned just last week how those grants could be redirected to more visible cultural institutions, museums that actually attract donors. Serafina's blood went cold. You wouldn't. I don't want to, but if you don't do this one tiny thing for me, I'll have to tell Father that you refused to help the family when we needed you. And you know how he feels about loyalty. The basement archive suddenly felt smaller, colder. All these documents, all this history, all this meaning, it could disappear with one signature on a budget form. What time? Serafina heard herself say. 8 o'clock. I'll be at your apartment by 6 with everything you need. You're the best sister ever. I love you. The call ended. Serafina sat in the silence of the archive, surrounded by the ghosts of people who'd been dead for centuries. People who'd had their own betrayals, their own impossible choices. She looked at the merchant's journal, at the cipher she'd been so carefully decoding. Blood oaths, creatures of twilight, hidden covenants. She almost laughed. Those things were mythology, fairy tales. Real monsters, she'd learned, wore Prada and smiled with your own face. 6:17 that evening, Serafina's apartment occupied the third floor of a converted textile factory in the warehouse district. 700 square feet, exposed brick. Windows that overlooked an alley where delivery trucks idled and homeless men slept in doorways. It was not the Ashworth family penthouse where Celestia lived, with its doorman and its marble and its view of the harbor. But the rent was cheap enough that Serafina could afford it on her archivist salary without asking her father for money. And that was worth every chipped tile, every radiator that clanked through winter nights. The buzzer shrieked. Celestia swept in like weather. Her perfume arrived first, something French, something that cost more than Serafina's monthly grocery budget. Then Celestia herself in a camel cashmere coat, carrying 2 garment bags and a makeup case the size of a small suitcase. You're still in your work clothes. Celestia's gaze traveled over Serafina's cardigan and slacks with barely concealed horror. Shower, now. Use my body wash, not that horrible drugstore bar soap you use. Serafina opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. The faster she complied, the faster this ended. 20 minutes later, she emerged from the bathroom in a cloud of Celestia's expensive steam. Her sister had laid out the dress on the bed. Sapphire silk, strapless. The kind of garment that cost what Serafina earned in a month. Put it on. The silk slithered over her skin like cool water. Celestia zipped her in, tugged at the neckline, adjusted the fall of the skirt. Shoes. Heels. Black. 4 inches. Sit. Serafina sat. Celestia opened the makeup case and went to work with the efficiency of a general preparing troops for battle. Foundation. Contour. Something smoky around the eyes. Lipstick the color of dried roses. There, Celestia stepped back, assessing. Now you look like me. Serafina looked in the mirror. A stranger looked back. They had the same face, yes. The same dark hair, the same storm gray eyes, the same bone structure, inherited from their mother, who died when they were 17. But Celestia wore this face like armor, like a weapon. Serafina wore it like a mask she couldn't wait to remove. The reservation is at 8. The Crimson Room, corner of Ashford and 5th. Sterling will be waiting at the table. His profile says he's 6'1", blonde, probably wearing something navy. Just be me, confident, bored, like you're doing him a favor by showing up. What if he asks questions I can't answer? He won't. Men like Sterling only want to talk about themselves. Yes, Celestia checked her watch. I have to go. The Duke's party starts in 40 minutes. You're an angel for doing this. She kissed the air beside Serafina's cheek, careful not to smudge the makeup. Then she was gone, a whirlwind of cashmere and ambition. Serafina stood alone in her tiny apartment, wearing her sister's skin. The woman in the mirror looked confident, powerful, the kind of woman who belonged in places like the Crimson Room. But underneath the silk and makeup, Serafina's heart hammered against her ribs like something caged. The Crimson Room occupied the ground floor of a pre-war building that had once been a speakeasy. Brass fixtures, dark wood, lighting designed to make everyone look mysterious and wealthy. Serafina gave the host Celestia's name. The man's expression shifted instantly. Recognition, deference. Of course, Miss Ashworth. Your party is waiting in the main dining room. Your party. Not your companion. Not your date. Your party. The first cold finger of dread touched the base of Serafina's spine. She followed the host through the restaurant. Heads turned as she passed. The dress did its work, commanding attention the way Serafina herself never had. They rounded a corner, and Serafina's stomach dropped. Not a table for two, a round table. Set for 15. 14 men in expensive suits, already drinking, already loud, filled the chairs. At the head sat a man who could only be Sterling Blackwood. Blonde, polished, smiling with too many teeth. Cameras. She saw them now. Phones propped up on the table, red recording lights glowing like eyes. "Gentlemen," the host's voice cut through the noise. "Your guest of honor has arrived." Sterling stood, raised his glass. "Celestia Ashworth? Finally, we've been waiting." The men erupted in cheers, whistles. The sound crashed over Serafina like a wave. Every instinct screamed run. But they were all looking at her now, and the host was pulling out a chair. And if she ran, it would be on camera. Celestia's face, running. The Ashworth name, fleeing. Father's business deals. The Historical Society's funding. Serafina sat. Sterling remained standing. He picked up a piece of paper from the table. Laminated. She could see text printed on it. Formatted like a menu. Oh, God. "Gentlemen and lady," Sterling's voice carried, meant to be heard by the entire restaurant. "Tonight we have a very special tasting menu, prepared exclusively for Miss Celestia Ashworth." The men laughed. One of them pounded the table. "First course," Sterling read from the fake menu. "Appetizer, the Celestia Ashworth origin story, also known as How Daddy's Money Bought Credentials. I checked, gentlemen. Her art gallery, funded entirely by Victor Ashworth. Her degree from Sotheby's, paid for. Her entire existence, purchased." The laughter grew louder. Serafina's hands gripped the edge of the table. Her knuckles went white. This was a roast, a public humiliation, and every second was being recorded. Main course? Sterling was enjoying himself now. The Ice Queen complex. "Tell me, Celestia, how many men have you looked through like they're beneath you? How many events have you attended where you spent the entire evening checking your phone?" He leaned closer. His breath smelled like bourbon. "You rejected me 3 weeks ago. Said you weren't interested. Then I found out from a mutual friend that you told people I was boring. Me. Boring. Sterling Blackwood, whose portfolio has outperformed the market for 6 consecutive quarters." "I think there's been a mistake," Serafina managed. Her voice came out wrong, too soft, not Celestia's confident projection. "I should go." "Oh no." Sterling's hand landed on her wrist. His fingers dug in. "We haven't gotten to dessert yet. Dessert is my favorite part." Tears burned behind Serafina's eyes. The makeup would run. Everyone would see. The restaurant had gone quiet. Other diners were watching now. Phones everywhere, recording, broadcasting, spreading. Dessert, the great reveal. Because here's what I learned, Celestia. Underneath all that polish, all that breeding, all that Ashworth money, you're completely empty. You're beautiful wrapping paper around nothing. And tonight, everyone gets to see it. One of the men at the table raised his glass. "To empty paper." The others echoed it. "To empty paper." Serafina tried to stand. Sterling's grip tightened, forcing her back down. "Let go of me." Her voice shook. "Or what?" Sterling leaned close enough that she could see the cruelty in his eyes. "You'll call Daddy? You'll threaten me with your family name?" "I'm not afraid of Victor Ashworth, and I'm definitely not afraid of his empty little princess." A tear escaped. Tracked down her cheek, carrying foundation and humiliation with it. This was going viral. Right now, millions of people would see this, would see her, no, would see Celestia's face, crying, trapped, powerless. The Historical Society would see. Her father would see. Sterling opened his mouth to say something else, and the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees in 3 seconds. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Conversations at other tables died mid-sentence. The air pressure changed. Serafina felt it in her ears, in her chest, like standing at the edge of a cliff before a storm. Every instinct she had, the ones buried under years of being overlooked, being safe, being small, screamed a single word. Predator. Sterling's hand fell away from her wrist. The noise from his table stopped. 15 drunk, confident men went silent as prey animals in the tall grass. A figure stepped out of the shadows near the private alcove at the back of the restaurant. Not stepped. Moved, like smoke given form. He was tall, easily 6'4", wearing a suit so black it seemed to absorb the light around it. His hair was dark, swept back from a face of brutal, timeless beauty. Sharp cheekbones, a mouth that looked carved from stone. But it was his eyes that froze the blood in Serafina's veins. Silver, not gray, not light blue. Silver, like molten mercury, like moonlight made solid. And they were fixed on Sterling Blackwood with the intensity of something ancient and absolutely merciless. He crossed the restaurant floor in complete silence. His footsteps made no sound. The other diners shrank back without seeming to realize they were doing it. 15 feet away, 10, 5. He stopped directly behind Sterling's chair. When he spoke, his voice resonated in Serafina's chest, deep, controlled. The kind of voice that didn't need to be raised because every word carried absolute authority. You dare create chaos in my domain? Sterling turned, looked up. Whatever he saw in that silver gaze made him go pale. This is a private dinner. Nothing in this city is private from me. The stranger's hand descended onto Sterling's shoulder. It looked casual, almost friendly. Sterling winced, then gasped. His face went from pale to red to purple. The stranger's fingers were crushing bone. I am Theren Nightshade. Each word fell like a stone into deep water. I have owned this city since before your grandfather's grandfather drew his first breath. These streets, these buildings, the ground you walk on, all of it has been mine for longer than your family has had a name. He leaned down, spoke directly into Sterling's ear, but loud enough for the table to hear. And you just terrorized someone under my protection. Sterling tried to speak. Only a wheeze came out. Leave. Theron's voice dropped to something that wasn't quite human, something that resonated with frequencies that made Serafina's teeth ache. Take your little friends, walk out of this restaurant, out of this city, and pray that I never see your face again. He released Sterling's shoulder. The man stumbled to his feet, cradling his arm. His friends scrambled up, chairs scraping, drinks spilling. They ran. 14 grown men in $1,000 suits fled like children from a nightmare. Sterling looked back once from the doorway. His gaze found Serafina, full of impotent rage and humiliation. Then he was gone. The restaurant remained frozen. Every diner, every waiter, perfectly still. Theren Nightshade turned to Serafina. Up close, he was devastating. Not handsome in any conventional sense. Too harsh, too otherworldly, but compelling in a way that made it impossible to look away. You're safe now. His voice gentled, became almost human. Can you stand? Serafina tried. Her legs refused to cooperate. The world tilted. Strong arms caught her before she hit the floor. She was lifted, weightless, held against a chest that felt like marble covered in silk. I've got you. She should have been afraid. This stranger, this man with impossible eyes and a voice that commanded terror from others. But all she felt was safe. Her vision blurred. The restaurant spun. Voices rose and fell like waves, then darkness took her, and she knew nothing at all. Consciousness returned in pieces. First, silence, deep and absolute. Then temperature, cool air on her skin, soft fabric beneath her. Then scent. Old books, leather, something faintly metallic, like copper. Serafina opened her eyes. A ceiling stretched above her, painted with a fresco of a night sky. Constellations picked out in real gold leaf, glimmering in lamplight. She sat up too quickly. Her head swam. The room steadied, came into focus. She was in a bedroom. Gothic arches, heavy curtains of burgundy velvet, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. A four-poster bed carved from dark wood, draped in linens so fine they felt like water. She was still wearing Celestia's sapphire dress, but her shoes were gone. Her feet were bare. You're awake, thank goodness. An elderly woman appeared in the doorway. She had steel gray hair pulled into a neat bun and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She wore a simple black dress and sensible shoes. I'm Mrs. Everhart. Master Nightshade asked me to watch over you. How do you feel? Where am I? Nightfall Manor. You fainted at the restaurant. Master Nightshade brought you here for safety. Serafina's mind struggled to process this. The man, Theren, is he? He's downstairs. He asked me to let him know when you woke. But first, dear, you should know, there's been some trouble. Mrs. Everhart picked up a tablet from the dresser, turned it so Serafina could see the screen. A video played, shaky vertical footage, clearly filmed on a phone. Serafina watched herself sit at that table, watched Sterling read from his cruel menu, watched herself try to leave, try to escape, watched the tears fall. The caption read, Karma comes for Ice Queen Celestia Ashworth. The view count made Serafina's stomach clench. 6 million. Oh God. I'm sorry, dear, it spread very quickly. There are reporters outside the gates. They're asking for a statement from Celestia Ashworth. Serafina's hands shook. My job. The Historical Society? They'll see this. They'll think, why would the Historical Society care about Celestia Ashworth's personal life? The question hung in the air. Mrs. Everhart's expression shifted. Understanding dawned. You're not Celestia, are you? It wasn't a question. Seraphina shook her head. Her throat closed around words. What's your name, dear? Seraphina. I'm her twin sister. She asked me to go instead. She had another event. I didn't know it would be. I thought it was just dinner. The tears came then. Real ones. Not the careful, painful ones from the restaurant. These were the tears of someone who'd spent 28 years being overlooked, being the spare. And now 6 million people had watched her humiliation, thinking it belonged to someone else. Mrs. Everhart sat on the edge of the bed, produced a handkerchief from her pocket, said nothing, just waited while Seraphina cried. When the storm passed, the old woman spoke gently. Master Nightshade needs to speak with you. There are things you need to know. Can you manage it, or would you like to rest first? Seraphina wiped her eyes. The makeup came away in dark smudges on the white handkerchief. I can manage. Brave girl, Mrs. Everhart patted her hand. I'll fetch him. There's a robe in the wardrobe if you'd like to change. And dear, whatever he tells you tonight, remember that he saved you when he didn't have to. That means something. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Seraphina sat in the enormous bed in the Gothic bedroom in a place called Nightfall Manor. 6 million views. Her life, mistaken for her sister's. Her humiliation, viral. And a man with silver eyes who'd appeared from shadows to save her. What had she stumbled into? The door opened again. Theren Nightshade entered, and the room felt instantly smaller. His presence filled spaces the way light did, the way gravity did. He'd removed his jacket. His white shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, revealing skin so pale it looked like marble. His sleeves were rolled to his elbows, exposing forearms roped with lean muscle. He stopped several feet from the bed, gave her space. Seraphina, he said her name like he'd known it all along. We need to talk. How did you know that I'm not Celestia? I can smell the difference. He said it matter-of-factly. Your blood doesn't carry lies the way hers does. Blood, that metallic scent in the air, coming from him. What are you? The question escaped before she could stop it. I think you already know. She did. Somehow she did. All those documents in the archive. All those coded references to creatures that walk between twilight and dawn. Vampire. He inclined his head. Among other things. Her heart should have been racing. She should have been terrified. Instead, she felt oddly calm, like puzzle pieces clicking into place. Why did you save me? Because you were being hurt. Because those men deserved to feel fear. He paused. And because I was watching that table all evening. Why? Theren moved to the window, looked out at the darkness beyond. Your father, Victor Ashworth. 35 years ago, he was the accountant for the old families. The vampire bloodlines that have existed in this city since it was founded. We trusted him with our secrets, our sanctuary locations, the names of our bloodlines. He turned back to face her. His eyes caught the lamplight, turned it to liquid silver. He sold us. Seraphina's blood went cold. What? The Brotherhood, vampire hunters, ancient, fanatical, and very well funded. Victor gave them everything. Maps to our safe houses, schedules of when we gathered, weaknesses specific to each bloodline. His voice remained controlled, but something underneath it vibrated with centuries of rage. They came on a winter night, burned 17 vampires alive in their sanctuaries, killed them while they slept. That's not, my father wouldn't. Your father took the blood money and built Ashworth Development. Every building in his empire was funded by the deaths of my people. Theron's jaw tightened. By the deaths of my parents. The room spun. Seraphina gripped the edge of the bed. I was at the council chambers that night. I felt them die through the bloodline bond. By the time I reached the sanctuary, there was nothing left but ash and silver stakes. He closed his eyes, opened them. I've spent 35 years hunting Victor Ashworth, waiting for the right moment to destroy him the way he destroyed my family. Is that why I'm here? Seraphina's voice came out steady, despite everything. Am I revenge? You were supposed to be. Theren crossed the room, stopped at the foot of the bed. When I learned that Celestia Ashworth would be at the Crimson Room tonight, I planned to make an example. Use her to send Victor a message. Hurt him the way he hurt me. He looked at her, really looked at her. But you're not Celestia. You're Seraphina. And when I saw you at that table, terrified and alone, your blood smelling of old books and innocence, everything changed. I don't understand. You're not your father's weapon. You're not even his priority. You're, he searched for words. You're something he overlooked. Something real in a family of beautiful lies. Silence stretched between them. Serafina's mind raced. Her father, a murderer. Her sister using her as a stand-in. Her own life, a mistake broadcast to millions. What happens now? Now, Theren said, you stay here, under my protection. The video is everywhere. Reporters are hunting for Celestia Ashworth. If you go home, they'll find you. If you go to work, they'll find you, and Sterling Blackwood's humiliation is very public. He'll want revenge. So I'm a prisoner? You're a guest. There's a difference. And if I want to leave? He held her gaze. Then you leave. I won't stop you. But I won't be able to protect you either. And Serafina, there are things moving in this city that are far more dangerous than embarrassing videos. Like what? Like the fact that Victor Ashworth is still working with the Brotherhood. Like the fact that your sister sent you to that restaurant, to that specific man, for a reason I'm still uncovering. He moved closer. Like the fact that I've lived for 400 years, and in all that time, I've never felt the pull I felt when I saw you tonight. The air between them charged with something Serafina couldn't name. What kind of pull? Theron's expression shifted, became vulnerable in a way that looked painful on that ancient, powerful face. The kind that makes me reconsider revenge. The kind that makes me want to keep you safe more than I want to hurt your father. The kind that terrifies me because I stopped letting myself feel things like this 3 centuries ago. Serafina's breath caught. He straightened. The vulnerability shuddered behind a stone. It's late. You should rest. Mrs. Everhart will bring you clothes in the morning. You can explore the manor freely, except the West Wing. That's private. If you need anything, pull the bell cord by the bed. He turned to leave. Theren. He stopped, looked back. Why are you really doing this? For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, because when I looked into your eyes tonight, I saw someone who's been overlooked for far too long. And I know what that feels like. His voice dropped. To be surrounded by people and still be utterly alone. He left, closing the door with barely a sound. Serafina sat in the silence of Nightfall Manor, her mind spinning with impossible truths. Vampires were real. Her father was a killer. And the most dangerous man in the city had just admitted he couldn't hurt her. Through the window, she could see the city sprawling below. Lights like fallen stars, millions of people living their ordinary lives. She thought of the archive, of the merchant's journal with its coded references to blood oaths and twilight creatures. She'd spent her life decoding the past. Now she was living in it, and somehow, impossibly, she felt more real than she had in 28 years. Morning came to Nightfall Manor in shades of silver and pearl. Serafina woke to silence so complete it felt like being wrapped in velvet. No traffic sounds, no neighbor's television bleeding through thin walls, no radiator clanking its morning protest, just silence, and the faint smell of old books. She sat up, remembered where she was, the Gothic bedroom, the vampire's house, her father's crimes, 6 million people watching her sister's face cry. A soft knock at the door. Miss Serafina, I've brought breakfast and some clothes. Mrs. Everhart's voice, gentle and grandmotherly. The old woman entered with a tray. Toast, perfectly golden. Eggs, still steaming. Tea in a porcelain cup so fine Serafina could see light through it. She set it on the bedside table, then laid garments across the chair. These belonged to Master Nightshade's mother. I've kept them preserved all these years. I think they'll fit you. Serafina touched the fabric. Soft wool trousers in deep charcoal, a cream silk blouse, a cashmere cardigan the color of winter sky. They're beautiful. She had excellent taste, and she was about your size. Mrs. Everhart smiled. Master Nightshade is in the library. He asked if you'd join him when you're ready. No rush, dear. Take your time. When the door closed, Serafina ate slowly. The food was simple but perfect. Real butter, fresh bread, eggs that tasted like they came from chickens who'd lived actual lives. Not like her usual breakfast of instant coffee and whatever was on sale at the corner market. She dressed in the borrowed clothes. They fit like they'd been made for her. The silk felt like cool water against her skin. The cashmere held warmth without weight. In the mirror, she looked like herself. Not Celestia's inferior copy, not the forgotten twin. Just Serafina. She found her way downstairs by following instinct and the smell of old paper. Nightfall Manor revealed itself in pieces as she walked. High ceilings painted with murals of forests at twilight. Windows of stained glass that turned morning light into pools of sapphire and ruby and gold. Corridors that seemed to stretch longer than the building's exterior suggested. And everywhere the sense of age. Not decay, not neglect, just time, layered thick as dust. The library doors stood open. Serafina stopped in the doorway, her breath caught. The room stretched 3 stories high. Walls lined floor to ceiling with books, thousands of them, tens of thousands. Leather bindings in burgundy and forest green and midnight blue. A spiral staircase of wrought iron wound up to the 2nd level, then a 3rd. Morning light poured through windows that faced east, illuminating dust motes that danced like stars. And in the center, at a massive oak table, sat Theren Nightshade. He'd changed his clothes. Dark trousers. A charcoal sweater that made his pale skin look like moonlight. His hair was slightly disheveled, like he'd been running his hands through it. He was reading. An old book, the kind that required careful handling. His long fingers turned pages with practiced gentleness. He looked up when she entered. For a moment, neither spoke. "You found it," he said finally. "This is incredible." Serafina moved into the room as if pulled by gravity. "I've never seen a private collection like this." 400 years of collecting. He closed the book, set it aside. "Please, explore. Touch anything you like. These books have been alone too long." Serafina approached the nearest shelf. Her fingers traced spines. She recognized some. Medieval texts on astronomy, Renaissance treatises on philosophy, first editions of novels that should have been in museums. "This is a Gutenberg Bible." Her voice came out reverent. "There are only 49 known copies in existence." 48 known, I have 2. He moved to stand beside her. "This one's from 1456. The other is upstairs in the climate-controlled vault." She pulled out a volume at random, opened it. The text was in a language she didn't immediately recognize. "Old Slavic," Theren said, "a chronicle of the vampire bloodlines in Eastern Europe, written by a monk who was turned in 1323. You can read this?" "I can read most things." "You live long enough, you pick up languages." He took the book from her hands, careful not to touch her fingers. "This passage here, it talks about the covenant, the agreement between vampires and the natural world. We take blood to survive, but we protect the balance. We don't drain dry. We don't turn recklessly. We exist in the shadows so the world can exist in the light." Serafina watched his face as he read, the harsh beauty of it. The way his eyes moved across text written 7 centuries ago like it was yesterday's newspaper. "You really are 400 years old. 412 this November." He looked at her. "Does that frighten you?" "It should, but no." "Why not?" She thought about it. "Because age like that, it means you've seen things, learned things. You've watched empires rise and fall. You've read all these books." She gestured at the walls. "You're not just old, you're full of history, of knowledge." Something shifted in his expression, softened. "No one has ever described it that way before." "How do others describe it?" "Monster, abomination, unnatural." He set the book back on the shelf with precise care. "Those are the polite terms." Serafina moved deeper into the library, found a section on American history, colonial documents, Revolutionary War correspondence. She pulled out a letter. The paper was yellowed but intact. The handwriting was elegant, slanted. She read the first line and nearly dropped it. "This is from Benjamin Franklin. We played chess together. He was terrible at it, but refused to concede defeat." Theron's mouth curved, almost a smile. "Brilliant man, absolutely stubborn." "You knew Benjamin Franklin." "I knew a lot of people. Most of them are dust now." The almost smile faded. "That's the cost of this life. Everyone you care about dies, unless you turn them. And turning them means cursing them to watch everyone they love die. It's an endless loop of loss." The weight in his voice made Serafina's chest ache. "Is that why you're alone?" "Alone is safer. Alone doesn't hurt when it ends." She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him that alone was its own kind of death. But she'd lived 28 years being in the shadows, being overlooked. She knew exactly what he meant. They stood in the silence of the library, surrounded by the voices of the dead. Then Serafina saw it, a shelf in the far corner. Lower than the others, books with more modern bindings. She crossed to it, pulled out a volume. Her heart stopped. A journal, The cover was soft leather, worn smooth by handling. No title on the spine. She opened it. The handwriting inside was familiar. She'd seen it 1,000 times, in birthday cards, in notes left on the kitchen counter. In the diary she'd kept locked in her desk drawer after her mother died. Isolde Ashworth's handwriting. Where did you get this? Her voice came out, barely a whisper. Theren appeared at her shoulder, looked at the journal. His face went still. Isolde. This was my mother's. I know. Serafina's hands shook. She turned pages, dates from 30 years ago, entries about work, about research, about Theren. T showed me the Eastern Wing collection today. Medieval manuscripts I've only read about in catalogs. He handles them like they're living things, like they're precious. I've never met anyone who understands what these books mean, what they represent. He sees them the way I do, not as objects, as voices. Another entry, weeks later. I told T about the pregnancy today, twins. He was the first person I told, even before Victor. Because V won't understand. V sees children as heirs, as legacy. T sees them as miracles. He asked if he could place his hand on my stomach. When he did, his eyes went distant. They're strong, he said. Their heartbeats are steady. They'll be extraordinary. I cried because he was gentle, because he cared, because for one moment I wasn't alone in this. Tears blurred Serafina's vision. Her mother had known Theren, had worked here, had been friends with him. She turned more pages, found a pressed flower. Lavender, dried but still fragrant, and tucked behind it, a photograph. The image was faded, 3 decades old, but clear enough. A younger Isolde, visibly pregnant, standing in this library, smiling. And beside her, Theren Nightshade, looking exactly the same as he did now, ageless, immortal. His hand rested gently on Isolde's shoulder, protective. You knew her. It wasn't a question. She was my archivist, for 3 years. Theron's voice had gone rough. The only human I've trusted in a century. She understood what these books meant. How to preserve them. How to love them. Why did she leave? Your father? The name came out bitter. Victor didn't know she worked here. Didn't know about vampires, about me. Isolde kept it secret because she knew he wouldn't understand. But when she got pregnant, when you and Celestia were coming, she had to tell him something. So she said she was working from home, doing research remotely. He took the photograph from Serafina's trembling hands, looked at it like it hurt. Victor found out anyway. I don't know how, but 3 months before you were born, he came here, threatened me, said if I ever contacted Isolde again, he'd expose the vampire community to the world. He'd burn us all. So you let her go. I had no choice. She was human, fragile, mortal. I couldn't put her at risk. He set the photograph down with infinite care. I haven't seen her since that day. I told myself it was better this way. She could have a normal life, raise her daughters, grow old. She didn't grow old. Serafina's throat closed around the words. She died when we were 17. They said it was a rare blood disease, something the doctors couldn't identify. Theron's head snapped up. His silver eyes blazed. What kind of blood disease? They never gave it a name. She just got weaker and weaker. Couldn't keep food down. Her skin turned gray. She was in pain all the time. The memories clawed at Serafina. At the end, she barely recognized us. It was like she was already a ghost. It was silver poisoning. Theron's voice had gone deadly quiet. Long-term, low-dose silver in the bloodstream. It mimics wasting diseases in humans. And in vampires or those with vampire heritage, it's excruciating. The room tilted. What are you saying? Isolde was half vampire, hybrid. Her grandmother was one of the silver vein bloodline from Prague. She fled to America in 1924 to escape purges, married a human, had a daughter. That daughter had Isolde. The books on the shelves swam in Serafina's vision. My mother was part vampire, and she passed that heritage to you and Celestia. You're both hybrids, quarter vampire, not enough to need blood, but enough to carry certain traits, enhanced intuition, ability to sense emotions, resistance to mental manipulation. Serafina thought of her photographic memory, her ability to learn languages effortlessly, the way she'd always felt too much, understood too much. Not human quirks. Heritage. If mother was poisoned with silver, who poisoned her? Theron's expression turned to stone. Who had access to her food, her medicine, her daily life for years? The answer hit like a physical blow. Father. Victor found out what she was, what you are, and he tried to purify the bloodline the only way he knew how, by killing her slowly. Rage bloomed in Serafina's chest, hot and bright and utterly foreign. He murdered her. Yes. And Celestia and we're part vampire. Yes. A sound tore from her throat. Not quite a scream, not quite a sob, pure anguish given voice. She'd spent 28 years feeling like she didn't fit, like something in her was wrong, different, broken. But she wasn't broken. She was hidden by a father who'd rather kill than accept the truth. Theron's arms came around her before she realized she was falling. He held her while she shook. While 30 years of being in the background, being overlooked, being the spare daughter made horrible sense. I'm sorry, his voice rumbled against her ear. I should have fought harder. Should have found a way to protect her. It's not your fault. I loved her. The confession came out raw. Not romantically, but deeply. She was brilliant and kind, and she saw me as something other than a monster. When your father took her away, I lost the only real friend I'd had in decades. Serafina pulled back, looked up at him. Tears streaked her face, but she didn't care. I'm like her, aren't I? That's why you felt pulled to me. You're exactly like her. Your eyes, your voice, the way you touch books like they're alive. His thumb brushed a tear from her cheek. The touch was achingly gentle. But you're also yourself, stronger than she was, braver. You survived being unseen and came out with your soul intact. That's extraordinary. The air between them charged with something neither of them had words for. A sharp knock shattered the moment. Mrs. Everhart appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Master Nightshade, forgive the interruption, but there's someone at the gate. Your sister, Miss Serafina. She's quite insistent. Serafina's stomach dropped. Celestia, they met in the entrance hall, a room of black marble and soaring ceilings and a chandelier that looked like frozen starlight. Celestia stood in the center, looking small and out of place. She wore designer jeans and a cashmere coat, but her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. Her eyes were red-rimmed. She looked, for the first time in Serafina's memory, vulnerable. Sarah, her voice cracked. Then she saw Theren standing behind Serafina. Her face went white. You're him, the man from the video, the one who, she swallowed. I came to get my sister. To apologize, to fix this. Your sister is under my protection. Theron's voice was ice. She stays as long as she wishes. I know what I did was horrible, I know, but please, I just need to talk to her. Serafina stepped forward, putting herself between Theren and Celestia. It's okay. I'll hear her out. Theron's hand touched her shoulder briefly. A question. She nodded. He withdrew, but didn't leave. Stood in the shadows at the edge of the room, watching. Serafina faced her sister, her identical twin. The woman who'd worn their shared face with confidence, while Serafina hid behind books. Talk. Celestia's composure shattered. I'm so sorry. God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know Sterling was planning that. I thought it was just dinner. Boring dinner. Nothing else. You knew he hated you. No, I mean yes, but not like that. I thought he was just bitter about the rejection. Celestia's hands twisted together. I didn't know about the menu, the cameras, the whole setup. Why did you really send me? Serafina kept her voice level. The truth, Celestia. Her sister's face crumpled. Tears spilled over. Because Sterling had pictures from 2 years ago. I was at a party. Someone spiked my drink. I don't remember most of the night. But Sterling was there, and he took photos. Of me, in a bathroom, half conscious. The anger in Serafina's chest shifted, complicated. He was blackmailing you. He said if I didn't go out with him publicly, show the world that I was interested, he'd release the photos. Ruin me. Destroy father's business relationships. Celestia wiped her eyes. I panicked. I couldn't go. The Duke's party was too important. So I thought if I sent you, Sterling wouldn't know the difference. He'd think he got his date. I could buy time to figure out how to get the photos back. You used me as a shield. Yes, and I hate myself for it. Celestia took a shaky breath. But Sarah, you have to understand, I've been terrified for months. Sterling is connected, powerful. Father does business with his family. I couldn't tell anyone, couldn't ask for help. You could have told me. Could I? Celestia's voice rose. When was the last time we actually talked? When did we stop being sisters and start being strangers who share DNA? The question hung between them. Serafina thought back. Years of Celestia at galas while she was at the archive. Years of separate lives, separate worlds. Years of Celestia getting their father's attention while Serafina got his indifference. When had the rift started? When had they stopped being we and become I and you? I don't remember, Serafina admitted. Neither do I, and that's my fault too. Celestia stepped closer. I was jealous of you. So jealous. Because Mother loved you more. She understood you. You two would sit in her study for hours talking about books and history and things I couldn't follow. I felt stupid around you, so I became what Father wanted instead. Beautiful, social, perfect. Mother didn't love me more. She did. I know she did. Because you're like her. Smart, deep, real. Celestia's voice broke. I'm just pretty wrapping paper. Sterling was right about that. Don't. Serafina grabbed her sister's hands. Don't let him define you. Don't let Father define you. You're more than pretty. You're capable. You run an art gallery. You negotiate with artists and collectors. You see beauty that other people miss. I sent you into a trap. You were in your own trap. Serafina squeezed her hands. Sterling trapped us both, just differently. Celestia's tears fell harder now. Real tears, not the careful crying that preserved makeup, the messy kind that came from breaking open. Can you forgive me? Serafina thought about it. About 28 years of being the forgotten twin, about last night's humiliation, about 6 million people watching her cry. But she also thought about her mother's journal, about how Isolde had been poisoned by their father, how both she and Celestia had been lied to their entire lives. They were both victims, just in different ways. Yes, the word came out easier than she expected. But no more lies, no more using each other. If we're going to be sisters, we have to be real sisters. That means honesty, even when it's hard. Celestia nodded, unable to speak. They stood there, hands clasped, identical faces wet with tears. For the first time in years, the distance between them felt like something that could be crossed. A phone buzzed, loud in the quiet. Celestia pulled hers from her pocket, looked at the screen. Her face went pale. It's Father. He wants a family meeting. Tonight. He says it's urgent. From the shadows, Theren spoke. It's not a coincidence. Both women turned to look at him. He stepped into the light, his expression grim. Someone reported to the Covenant Council that I'm harboring a human in Nightfall Manor. It's a violation of the oldest laws. The Council has summoned me to answer for it. When? Serafina asked. Tonight, sunset. His silver eyes found hers. They'll demand I either erase your memory or face punishment. And if they discover you're hybrid, things become more complicated. How complicated? Hybrids are rare, valuable. The Council will want to claim you, test you, determine if you're a threat or an asset. He moved closer. Your father doesn't know what you are, but if the Brotherhood has been watching, if they've tracked Isolde's bloodline, they might, and they'll want you dead. Celestia made a sound of distress. What do we do? Theren looked at Serafina, only at her. We go to the Council. We face them, and we prove that you're not just hybrid. You're Silvervein, vampire royalty, which means they can't touch you without declaring war on a bloodline that predates this continent. How do we prove it? The Crimson Veil, ancient fire that reveals true nature. If you walk through it and survive, your heritage will be undeniable. And if I don't survive, then I burn with you. He said it like a vow, because I will not lose another Silvervein to fear and hatred. The weight of his words settled over the room. Serafina looked at Celestia, at her sister, who was finally being honest, finally being real. Then at Theren, at the vampire who'd known her mother, who saw past her being overlooked to something worth protecting. When do we leave? His mouth curved, not quite a smile, something fiercer. At dusk, the council chambers are underground. We walk into the dark together, Serafina, and we emerge as something they've never seen before. What's that? Unafraid. The sun set over the city in shades of blood and copper. Serafina stood in the bedroom that had been Theren's mother's, dressed in clothes that felt like armor. Black trousers, a silk shirt the color of midnight, a long coat of soft leather that fell to her knees. Mrs. Everhart had braided her hair into a crown around her head, had given her a necklace, a single moonstone on a silver chain. It was hers, the old woman said quietly, the original Silvervein matriarch. She wore it when she faced down a king. Now you wear it to face down a council. Serafina touched the stone. It was warm despite being silver, like it held its own heartbeat. Celestia appeared in the doorway. She changed too. Simple black dress, hair pulled back, no jewelry. I'm coming with you. Celestia, no. Yes, her sister's voice was steel. You're my twin, my blood. If you're walking into danger, I'm walking beside you. Theren materialized behind her. He'd changed into formal attire, a suit of such deep black it looked like it was cut from night itself. His hair was pulled back, revealing the brutal beauty of his face. He looked like what he was, ancient, powerful, deadly. The council won't like an audience. I don't care what they like. Celestia lifted her chin. Serafina isn't facing this alone. Theren studied her, then nodded once. Both of you, stay close. Say nothing unless directly addressed. And whatever happens, trust me. They left Nightfall Manor as the last light died. A car waited, black, sleek. Dorian, Theren's second-in-command at the wheel. He was tall, dark-skinned, with eyes that glowed faintly amber in the darkness. Another vampire, older than he looked. The drive took 20 minutes, down into the old part of the city, where buildings predated the revolution, where cobblestone streets still bore the marks of horse hooves and wagon wheels. They stopped outside what looked like an abandoned church. Gothic, stone. The windows were boarded, the door was chained. Theren led them to a side entrance, a stairwell that descended into earth. Down, down, down. The temperature dropped. The air grew thick with age. At the bottom, a door of solid iron, engraved with symbols that hurt to look at directly. Theren pressed his palm to the metal. It swung open in silence. The chamber beyond stole Serafina's breath. Massive. Cathedral-sized, the ceiling disappeared into shadow. Columns of black stone rose like ancient trees, and everywhere, candles. Thousands of them, their light reflecting off walls that seemed to be carved from a single piece of obsidian. 9 thrones sat in a semicircle at the chamber's heart. 8 were occupied. Vampires, old beyond imagining. Their eyes glowed in the candlelight. Crimson, gold, silver, green. In the center throne sat a woman who made the others look young. She was small, delicate, with white blonde hair and skin like porcelain, but her eyes were ancient. They held the weight of 1,000 years and more. Lady Morgrave, her voice filled the chamber, resonating in bones and blood. Theren Nightshade, you have violated the covenant. You have brought a human into your sanctuary. You have endangered us all. Theren bowed, shallow, respectful but not subservient. I have brought Serafina Ashworth, and she is no threat to anyone here. Because she is human. Weak, mortal, fragile. Morgrave's gaze shifted to Serafina, pinned her like a butterfly to cork. You carry the stench of fear, child. You do not belong in our world. Serafina's heart hammered, but she met those ancient eyes, didn't look away. I belong where I choose to belong. The chamber went silent. One of the council members hissed. Another laughed. Morgrave tilted her head. Bold words for one who could be dust in seconds. Then make me dust. Serafina stepped forward, away from Theren's protection. But first, tell me, what would you call someone who carries vampire blood? Who survives silver poisoning in her mother's womb? Who can sense emotions, learn languages overnight, remember every word she's ever read? The council members exchanged glances. Morgrave rose from her throne, descended the steps, stopped 3 feet from Serafina. What are you claiming? I'm claiming that I'm not human. I'm hybrid. My mother was Isolde, granddaughter of the silver vein matriarch who fled Prague in 1924, which makes me quarter vampire, which means your laws about humans don't apply to me. Morgrave's eyes narrowed. Anyone can claim bloodline. Proof requires. The crimson veil, I know. Serafina's voice didn't shake. I'll walk through it. Right now, and we'll all see what I am. Murmurs rippled through the council. Morgrave smiled. It was not kind. Very well. If you survive, we acknowledge your heritage. If you burn, we scatter your ashes and erase this incident from memory. She gestured. The floor in the center of the chamber split open. Fire rose from the gap. But not orange fire, not red, crimson, deep as heart's blood. And it didn't burn upward. It hung in the air like a curtain, vertical, impossible. The crimson veil. Serafina could feel the heat from 20 feet away. Could smell something burning that had no name. Theren's hand caught her arm. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. She looked at him, At this man who'd saved her, who'd known her mother, who saw her when no one else did. Because I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of being overlooked. Whatever I am, I'm claiming it. She walked toward the fire. Celestia cried out behind her. Theren said something sharp in a language Seraphina didn't know, but she didn't stop. 10 feet from the veil. 5. 3. The heat was immense. She felt her skin tighten, felt her heart race. One more step. She reached out, touched the fire. It didn't burn, it sang. A sound like crystal bells, like distant music, like her mother's voice singing lullabies. Seraphina stepped through. The world turned silver. Every nerve in her body lit up. Not with pain, with recognition, like coming home after a lifetime of wandering. The fire showed her truths. Her mother, young, smiling, standing in Theron's library with her hand on her pregnant belly. Her grandmother, a woman with steel in her eyes and moonstone at her throat, fleeing burning buildings in Prague, choosing survival over pride. Her great-grandmother, the original Silver Vein matriarch, standing before a king and refusing to kneel. All of them, all of their strength, all of their survival, all of their defiance, in her blood, in her bones, in the marrow of who she was. The fire burned away fear, burned away doubt, burned away the lie that she was somehow less than whole. When she emerged on the other side of the veil, she was glowing. Silver light poured from her skin, her eyes, her hair. The entire council chamber was on its feet. Morgrave stared, mouth open. Silver Vein pureblood. Her voice was barely a whisper. Impossible, the line was broken. The matriarch died without turning her daughter. She didn't need to turn her. Theron's voice rang with triumph and something like awe. The blood carries, generation to generation, dormant, waiting, until it's needed. The silver light began to fade. Seraphina looked down at her hands. They looked the same, but felt different, stronger. Sure, she turned to the council. I am Seraphina Ashworth, granddaughter of Isolde, great-great-granddaughter of the Silver Vein matriarch. I am hybrid. I am heir, and I am here by right of blood and heritage. Do you acknowledge me? Morgrave recovered first. She sank into a deep bow. We acknowledge you, Silver Vein heir. We welcome you to the covenant. The other council members followed. 8 ancient vampires bowing to a 28-year-old woman who thought she was nothing. Seraphina looked past them, found Theron's eyes. He was smiling, truly smiling, pride and wonder written across his face. Celestia was crying, happy tears this time, and in Seraphina's chest something shifted, settled, became unshakable. She was not unseen, she was not less. She was exactly what she was meant to be. The chamber erupted in voices. Questions, demands to know more about Isolde's line, about how the heritage had survived. Morgrave raised a hand. Silence fell. There are implications to this revelation, political, historical. She looked at Seraphina with new respect. Your father, Victor Ashworth, does he know what you are? No. He should remain ignorant, for now. Morgrave's expression hardened. We have intelligence that the Brotherhood is moving again. Hunting hybrids. 73 have died in the last 20 years, with 32 in just the last 5 years alone. They're accelerating, made to look like accidents, natural causes. Seraphina's blood went cold. My mother was likely one of them, and if Victor knows what you are next on the list. Theren stepped forward. Then we move first. We expose him before he can hurt anyone else. How? Morgrave demanded. The Legacy Foundation Gala. Celestia spoke up, her voice steady despite her tears. 2 days from now, Father is hosting. Everyone who matters will be there. Cameras, press. It's broadcast live to donors. Perfect. Theron's smile turned predatory. We bring the truth into the light. Show the world exactly who Victor Ashworth is, what he's done. Morgrave considered, then nodded. You have the Covenant's support. We will provide evidence, documentation, proof of the Brotherhood's crimes and Victor's involvement. She looked at Seraphina. This is your right as Silver Vein heir, to seek justice for your bloodline. Are you prepared to face him? Seraphina thought of her mother, wasting away in a hospital bed, skin gray, eyes unseeing. Thought of all the other hybrids. 73 lives ended in secret, families who'd never known the truth. Thought of herself, 28 years in the background because her father couldn't accept what she was. I'm ready. Then go. Morgrave returned to her throne. Prepare, strike hard, strike true, and show the world what happens when you underestimate a Silver Vein. They left the council chambers as they'd entered, in silence, in darkness. But Serafina walked differently now. Head up, shoulders back, no longer trying to disappear. In the car, Celestia grabbed her hand. You were incredible. You were God, Sarah. You were terrifying and beautiful, and I've never been prouder to be your sister. Serafina squeezed back. We do this together. No more secrets. No more lies. Together, Theren watched them from the front seat. When his eyes met Serafina's in the rearview mirror, something passed between them. Acknowledgement. Respect. And beneath it, the ember of something that had been building since he'd caught her in the restaurant. Something neither of them had words for yet, but would, soon. The car climbed back up into the city. Into the world of humans who didn't know that vampires walked among them. Who didn't know that a war was being fought in the shadows. Who didn't know that in 2 days everything would change. Serafina looked out at the lights, at the ordinary people living ordinary lives. She'd been one of them yesterday. Today, she was something else. And in 2 days, she would be unstoppable. 2 days to prepare for war. 2 days to transform from overlooked to unstoppable. 2 days before Victor Ashworth's empire crumbled to ash. The morning after the council trial, Serafina woke to find Theren in the training room. The space occupied the entire east wing of Nightfall Manor. High ceilings, mirrored walls, floor of polished wood that gleamed like dark water. He moved through forms that looked like dance and death combined. Fluid. Precise. 400 years of muscle memory made visible. He sensed her presence. Stopped mid-movement. You're awake. I couldn't sleep. She stepped into the room. The moonstone necklace still hung at her throat. She hadn't taken it off since the crimson veil. Show me. Show you what? How to be what I am. How to use this. She gestured at herself, at the hybrid strength sleeping in her blood. I'm done being weak, done being afraid. If I'm going to face my father, I need to know what I'm capable of. Theren studied her, then nodded. Come here. He taught her to listen first. To close her eyes and hear what human ears missed. The heartbeat of a mouse in the walls. The whisper of wind through stone. The distant rumble of the city waking. Vampires exist in the spaces between sounds, he said. His voice came from behind her. She hadn't heard him move. We hear the silence beneath noise. The truth beneath lies. I can't. Stop trying, start feeling. She breathed, let go of effort, let her mind quiet, and there, faint but distinct, Mrs. Everhard in the kitchen 3 floors down, humming while she prepared breakfast. The rhythm of her heartbeat, steady, calm. Serafina's eyes opened. I heard her. Good, now speed. He was across the room before she could blink, then behind her, then at her side. Your hybrid blood gives you advantage over humans. You're faster, stronger. Your reflexes are sharper, but you have to trust your body to move before your mind catches up. He took her hand, placed it on his chest. His heart beat slowly, once every 6 seconds. Vampire slow. Feel that rhythm. Now feel yours. Serafina's heart hammered. Twice per second, human fast. Hybrids bridge both worlds. You can slow your heart when you need stealth, speed it when you need strength. It's a matter of will. She focused, imagined her pulse slowing, matching his. Thump, wait, thump, wait. The world shifted, colors became sharper, sounds crystallized, time stretched like taffy. There. Theron's voice was honey slow. Now move. She ran, crossed the training room in 3 strides that felt like floating. When she stopped, she was laughing. Pure joy at the discovery of capabilities she'd never known she possessed. Theren smiled, really smiled. The expression transformed his face from beautiful to devastating. Again, faster this time. They trained for hours. He taught her to sense emotions by reading micro-expressions, taught her to move through space like water, taught her that strength wasn't about force, it was about precision. Your father will try to intimidate you, Theren said as they rested. He's been doing it your whole life, making you small so he could feel large. At the gala, he'll use his voice, his presence, the weight of the Ashworth name. And what do? You remember what you are. Silver vein heir, daughter of a woman he murdered, granddaughter of a queen who faced down kings. He caught her chin, tilted her face up. You stand tall, you speak truth, and you let him see that he created his own destruction the moment he underestimated you. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. The touch sent electricity through her skin. Theren, her voice came out breathless. I need to tell you something. He didn't let go, didn't step back. These 2 days, training you, watching you become what you were meant to be. It's been, he searched for words. I've lived 400 years, seen empires rise and fall, loved and lost more times than I can count. But I've never felt this. Felt what? Like I'm finally awake after centuries of sleepwalking. The space between them compressed to nothing. When I saw you at that restaurant, he continued, voice rough, I thought you were a weapon I could use against your father. Then I learned you were as old as daughter, and I thought maybe fate was giving me a second chance to protect what I'd failed to protect before. But now? Now I see you. Not as a weapon, not as old as Echo. Just you, Serafina. Brilliant and brave and so achingly alive, it makes my dead heart remember what beating felt like. She reached up, touched his face. His skin was cool beneath her palm, but not cold, like marble warmed by moonlight. I was overlooked my whole life, she whispered. But you see me. You've seen me from the beginning. How could I not? You burn bright enough to light up 4 centuries of darkness. He kissed her, gentle at first, reverent, like she was something precious that might break. Then deeper, desperate, like she was air and he'd been drowning. Serafina kissed him back with everything she'd kept locked inside for 28 years. Every moment of loneliness, every hour of being an unseen, every day of wondering if she mattered. She poured it all into this, into him, into the impossible truth that a vampire king saw her worth when her own father never had. When they broke apart, both breathless, Theren rested his forehead against hers. After we destroy him, after justice is served, I want to ask you something. Ask me now. No, after, because I need you to choose me freely, not because I saved you, not because I'm protecting you, but because you want this, want us. She smiled against his mouth. I already do. Then let me ask properly, when this is over. A door opens somewhere in the manor. Voices drifted up. Celestia and Dorian, returning from their evidence-gathering mission. Theren stepped back, became composed again. But his eyes still burned silver bright. Come, let's see what they found. They found Celestia in the library, laptop open, documents spread across the oak table. She looked up when they entered. Her gaze went from Serafina to Theren and back. A knowing smile curved her mouth. Did I interrupt something? No, Serafina lied. Liar. Your lips are swollen, and Theren looks like he's been struck by lightning. Celestia's smile widened. But we can discuss your love life later. Right now, you need to see what Dorian and I found. Dorian appeared behind her. The tall vampire carried a banker's box filled with files. We accessed the Ashworth Foundation's private server, he said. Miss Celestia is quite talented at social engineering. I called Father's assistant, pretended to be locked out of my email. She gave me the admin password in 30 seconds. Celestia pulled up a spreadsheet. Look at this. Serafina leaned over her shoulder. Numbers filled the screen. Donations, grants, transfers. The Ashworth Foundation for Rare Diseases. Father's charity. It's supposed to fund research, help families, provide medical care. Celestia highlighted a column. But $47 million in the last decade went to shell companies. I traced them. They don't exist. The addresses are empty lots. The names are fake. Money laundering, Theren said. Worse. Celestia clicked through more files. Look where the money actually went. A new document. Bank transfers to an organization called the Brotherhood Preservation Society. Serafina's blood went cold. The Hunters. Father's been funding them for 30 years. Every dollar donated to his charity. Every tax break he claimed for helping sick children. It all went to killing people like you. Celestia's voice shook with rage. He stood at galas, gave speeches about compassion, about helping those who suffer, and he used that money to commit murder. How many? Serafina had to know. How many people did his money kill? Dorian opened a different file. Names, dates, locations. We cross-referenced the Brotherhood's activity reports with death certificates. The pattern is clear. 73 hybrid deaths in the last 20 years can be directly linked to operations funded by Victor's donations. That we know of. The real number is likely much higher. 73 lives, 73 people who'd been different, special, erased because someone couldn't accept what they were, like her mother. We have more. Celestia opened a video file. This is from a security camera at one of the Brotherhood's meeting halls. Watch. The footage was grainy, but clear enough. A conference room, 15 people around a table. and at the head, unmistakable, sat Victor Ashworth. Audio crackled through the laptop speakers. The hybrid population is growing. Victor's voice, cold, clinical. We need to be more aggressive. Target the young ones before they manifest. Make it look natural. No one questions childhood illness. A man across the table spoke. What about your own daughters? The genetic markers are being monitored. Victor cut him off. If either shows signs of activation, I'll handle it personally. I won't let my bloodline be polluted. The video ended. Silence filled the library. Serafina's hands clenched into fists, her nails cut into her palms. He would have killed us. Her voice came out flat, empty of emotion because the emotion was too big to let out without breaking. Me and Celestia, his own daughters. If we'd shown powers, he would have murdered us. Celestia was crying silently. We have to stop him. We have to make sure everyone knows what he is. We will. Theren gathered the documents. The gala is tomorrow night. We show this to the world. All of it. The embezzlement, the murders, the betrayal. We burn his empire to the ground and salt the earth so nothing grows back. What about after? Celestia wiped her eyes. After he's arrested, what happens to us? To the Ashworth name? Serafina looked at her sister. Really looked at her. At this woman who'd spent her whole life being what their father wanted. Who'd finally found the courage to be real. We rebuild it into something that actually helps people. Into something Mother would be proud of. Together? Together. They clasped hands across the table. Twin sisters, different in so many ways, but united now in purpose. Theren and Dorian began organizing the evidence, creating packets for the authorities, preparing the digital presentation. As they worked, Mrs. Everhart appeared with tea and sandwiches. The old woman set the tray down and caught Serafina's eye. Your mother would be very proud of you, dear. Both of you. She looked at Celestia too. Isolde always said her daughters would change the world. I think she knew, even then. You knew her? Celestia asked. I was her friend before she married your father, before everything went wrong. Mrs. Everhart's expression turned sad. She loved you both so much. Used to tell me about how Serafina would stay up reading for hours, how Celestia could spot beauty in things others overlooked. She saw the gifts in both of you. Why didn't she tell us the truth, Serafina had to ask, about what we are, what she was? She tried. That's why Victor poisoned her. The day she decided to tell you, the day she pulled you both aside to explain about your heritage, he found out. Started the silver injections that night. Mrs. Everhart's hands trembled. I begged her to run, to take you girls and disappear. But she thought she could reason with him, thought he loved you enough to accept the truth. He didn't love anyone, Celestia said bitterly. He only loved control. Then let's take it from him. Serafina stood. Tomorrow night, we show the world exactly who Victor Ashworth is, and we take back everything he stole, our mother's memory, our heritage, our truth. The others nodded. Outside the library windows, the sun set over the city, painting the sky in shades of fire and blood. Tomorrow would bring reckoning. Tonight, they prepared for war. The Legacy Foundation Gala took place in the Blackwell Grand Hall, a building of white marble and soaring columns and chandeliers that had witnessed a century of Boston's elite celebrating themselves. 700 guests, politicians, business leaders, old money families, new money entrepreneurs, all gathered to write checks and feel charitable, all about to witness something they'd never forget. Serafina arrived with Theren at her right hand and Celestia at her left. She wore a gown of blood-red silk that moved like liquid shadow. Her hair fell loose down her back. The moonstone necklace gleamed at her throat. She looked like what she was. Silver vein heir, vampire royalty, daughter of a murdered woman. And she looked furious. The cameras caught them immediately. Society photographers. Press. The gala was being live-streamed to donors worldwide. Thousands watching in real time. Perfect. They made their way through the crowd. People stared, whispered. The viral video from the Crimson Room had made Serafina's face famous, made Celestia's face famous. They thought they were watching the Ice Queen and her mysterious twin, the woman who'd been humiliated and the sister who looked identical. They had no idea what was coming. Victor Ashworth held court in the center of the hall, surrounded by admirers, wearing a tuxedo that cost more than most people made in a month. His silver hair perfectly styled, his smile warm and practiced. He saw them approaching. His smile didn't falter, but his eyes went cold. Serafina, Celestia, what a surprise. His voice carried. meant for the audience. I didn't know you were attending tonight. We have a contribution to make, Serafina said, to the cause you've dedicated your life to. Rare diseases, unusual conditions, people who are different. Something flickered in Victor's expression. Wariness. How generous. Theren stepped forward. The crowd parted for him instinctively, sensing predator. Victor Ashworth. We've never been formally introduced. I'm Theren Nightshade. Victor's face went pale, then red. I know who you are. I thought you might. After all, you murdered my parents 35 years ago, sold their location to hunters for $200,000. Used that blood money to start your empire. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras swiveled, focused. I don't know what you're talking about, Victor said, but his voice had lost its warmth, gone sharp, defensive. Don't you? Celestia pulled out a tablet, turned it so the nearest camera could see the screen. Then explain this. Bank transfers from the Brotherhood Preservation Society to your personal account. Dated 1989. $200,000. Paid for information leading to the elimination of vampire families. This is slander. I won't explain this. Serafina activated the large screens mounted throughout the hall. Video began playing. The security footage of Victor at the Brotherhood meeting. His voice filled the space. Target the young ones before they manifest. Make it look natural. No one questions childhood illness. The hall erupted in noise. Victor lunged forward, grabbed Serafina's wrist. His grip was crushing, meant to hurt. You ungrateful little... Theron's hand closed around Victor's throat, lifted him off the ground. Touch her again, Theren said softly, and I'll forget that she asked me to let human justice handle you. I'll forget 400 years of restraint, and I'll show you what real monsters do to men who hurt what's ours. He dropped Victor. The man crumbled to the floor. Security moved in. But Dorian was faster. He appeared with a team of federal agents. Real ones. Badges. Warrants. Victor Ashworth, the lead agent said. You're under arrest for fraud, money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder, and racketeering. You have the right to remain silent. They cuffed him, read his rights. The cameras caught every second. Victor looked at Serafina as they hauled him up. Hatred twisted his face into something ugly. You're nothing, you hear me? Nothing, just like your mother. Defective, broken, wrong. Serafina stepped close, spoke softly enough that only he could hear. I'm exactly like mother, hybrid. Silver vein, stronger than you could ever imagine. And I'm the one who's going to make sure everyone remembers what you really are. Not a philanthropist, not a visionary, just a murderer who couldn't accept that different doesn't mean wrong. His face went purple with rage. He tried to lunge at her. The agents dragged him away. His shouts echoed through the grand hall, even after the doors closed. Silence fell, 700 people staring, cameras recording. The live stream broadcasting to thousands. Celestia took the microphone. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. My name is Celestia Ashworth. This is my sister, Serafina. We are daughters of Isolde Ashworth, who died 11 years ago of what we were told was a rare blood disease. She paused, breathed. It wasn't a disease, it was poison. Our father killed her because she was different, because she carried vampire heritage and he couldn't accept it. Murmurs filled the hall. Shock. Disbelief. For 30 years, Victor Ashworth has funded an organization that hunts and kills people with vampire blood. Hybrids. People who are part human, part something older. He's used charity donations, your donations, to commit murder. 73 documented deaths. Probably more. Serafina took the microphone. We're shutting down the Ashworth Foundation. Every dollar will be returned to donors or redirected to legitimate organizations. We're restructuring Ashworth Development under new leadership. And we're establishing the Isolde Ashworth Memorial Fund to help hybrid families find safety and community. We're not asking for your forgiveness, Celestia added. We're not asking for anything. We're just telling you the truth, that our father was a monster, that our family profited from death, and that we're going to spend the rest of our lives making it right. They set down the microphone, walked off the stage together. The hall erupted. Questions, shouts, chaos, but Serafina didn't hear any of it because she'd done it, faced him, exposed him, taken back her truth, and she was still standing. 6 months later, the snow fell on Nightfall Manor in soft, perfect silence. Serafina stood at the library window, watching the city below transform into something clean, something new. Behind her, shelves held the books she'd spent 6 months cataloging, restoring, preserving. The work she loved, in a place she'd come to call home. The door opened. Theren entered carrying 2 cups of tea. He'd adopted the habit from Mrs. Everhart, like the ritual of it. The council called, he said. They want your input on the new hybrid integration protocols. I'll review them tonight. Serafina took the tea, smiled. After we finished the proposal for the Prague Archive partnership, she'd become something she never imagined. Silver Vein heir, Covenant Council member, advocate for hybrid rights, director of the Isolde Ashworth Memorial Fund. And she'd done it all while staying exactly who she was, a woman who loved books and quiet and the truth hidden in old documents. How's Celestia? Theren asked. Good. The gallery opening next week is sold out. She's nervous but excited. Serafina paused. She asked if we're coming. Do you want to? Yes, she's my sister. This is important to her. They'd rebuilt their relationship slowly, honestly. No more performance, no more competition. Just 2 women learning to be real with each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was true. And your father's trial? Theron's voice was careful. Starts in March, 45 counts. The prosecutors say he'll get life. She felt nothing when she said it. Not satisfaction, not grief, just finality. I'm testifying. I'll be there with you. I know. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the snow. Serafina. Theren set down his tea. Turned to face her. I've been waiting for the right moment, but I'm starting to think the right moment is just any moment when we're together. Her heart quickened. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Opened it. Inside, a ring. Not diamond. Moonstone. Set in silver so pure it gleamed like captured starlight. This belonged to the original Silver Vein matriarch. My mother kept it. Said it should go to someone worthy of the bloodline. He took Serafina's hand. I can't offer you a normal life. Can't offer you mortality or simplicity or anything ordinary. But I can offer you forever, beside me, building something new. Being exactly who you are while I'm exactly who I am. Will you marry me? Serafina looked at the ring, at Theren, at this impossible man who'd seen her when she was overlooked, who'd protected her when she was vulnerable, who'd stood beside her when she became strong. Yes, he slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, like it had been waiting 400 years for her. He kissed her, gentle and deep and full of promise. When they broke apart, both were smiling. There's something else, Theren said, a wedding gift. I've been working on it for months. He led her to a different part of the library, a section she'd never explored. He pulled back a curtain. Behind it, an entire room, filled with journals, dozens of them. Your mother's, Theren explained. Every journal she kept while she worked here. Every thought about you and Celestia. Every hope she had for your futures. His voice went soft. She loved you so much, Serafina. Every page is proof. Tears blurred Serafina's vision. She pulled out a journal at random, opened it. Serafina is reading at 2 years old, actual reading, not memorizing. She understands the words, understands their meaning. I watch her with books and I see myself. See my grandmother, see the whole Silver Vein line. She's going to be extraordinary. Serafina clutched the journal to her chest. Theren held her. Let her cry. You were never overlooked, Serafina, he said quietly. The world was just blind, but they see you now, and they'll never look away again. She kissed him, poured everything into it. Gratitude, love, hope. When they broke apart, she looked at the moonstone ring on her finger, at the journals her mother had written, at the library full of knowledge waiting to be shared, at the life she'd built from ruins. They said I was nothing, she said. My father, Sterling. All the people who looked at me and saw only Celestia's shadow. And what are you now? Everything I was meant to be. She turned from the window, faced the library, the books, the future. I spent 28 years being unseen, but that wasn't weakness. It was preparation, learning, becoming. She looked at Theren, and now I'm ready. To lead, to protect, to build something that lasts. With me, with you. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the old city in white, making everything new. Inside Nightfall Manor, surrounded by books and love and truth, Serafina held Theron's hand and faced tomorrow. She thought of all the moments that had led here. The restaurant humiliation, the council trial, the gala confrontation. Every moment of pain and fear and rage. Worth it, all of it. Because those moments had forged her, had burned away doubt and revealed strength. She was not shadow, not spare, Not second choice. She was first, and whole, and entirely herself. Mrs. Everhart appeared in the doorway. Dinner is ready when you are. Thank you, Seraphina squeezed Theron's hand. We'll be right there. They walked toward the door together. Vampire King and Silver Vein Heir, ancient power and new strength. Two souls who'd been alone too long, finally finding home. The future waited, unknown, uncertain, glorious. And Seraphina walked toward it unafraid. The overlooked daughter had become the crowned heir, and her reign had only just begun.